I actually don't know how to talk about what I just watched. um, so Poor Things. It's the movie with Emma Stone that you might have seen previews of, and she's like, you know what we're gonna do? Let's actually read the synopsis for this movie. Brought back to life by an unorthodox scientist, a young woman runs off with a lawyer on a whirlwind adventure across the continents. Free from the prejudices of her time, she grows steadfast in her purpose to stand for equality and liberation. Okay, okay. I mean, so like that, it would be like, let's, that's like me saying African king chases one armed man across the world for revenge. Black Panther. Like, yeah, that stuff happens, but that's not what the movie is about. This is not the. This movie is nuts. Okay, guys, so hey, welcome back to Small Couch Reviews. It's your boy Sam, rolling solo, and this is an unscheduled taping because I did not know I was going to watch this movie. But Poor Things is directed by, I hope I say this right, Yorgos Lanthimos. He's also the guy behind The Favorite, which is a fairly popular movie. So if you've seen that, you kind of get the gist of what Poor Things is. And off jump, I'm gonna say this is not a movie that really cares about telling a traditional story with arcs and traditional act one, act two, act three stuff like that. It's one of those movies that's more. It's not about what it's about. You're really watching for other reasons, like the performances, maybe the cinematography, things like that. It's not really concerned with telling a coherent story. And I normally hate movies like that. Real talk. I can appreciate nuance, but like I'm not here for a class. Like, don't make me guess the meaning of your movie. Just tell me. But here it actually works well, mostly because while they're doing this, I'm not bored. But this movie, like, weird, over the top, zany, unique, original, strange. These are probably some words you're going to hear if anyone talks to you about this movie. I really don't think it's for the general public, but I don't think it's like Oscar bait, like, one of those art house films that, they anticipate making just $100,000 and then it's really only made for the Oscar nom. I do think there's an audience for this type of movie like there was for The Favorite. So it has that going for it. In the film, Emma Stone plays a woman named Bella. She is the adopted daughter of a Willem Dafoe's character named Godwin Baxter. He's a doctor like Frankenstein, a lot like Frankenstein. And as the previews to this movie shows, he basically finds Bella's dead body and brings her back to life. Now, what's not in the trailers, but that is a big part of this, when Bella died, she was pregnant. So what Godwin does is the Bella's dead, but her baby is still alive. So he takes, or is clinging to life. Let me say that he takes the brain of the baby and puts it in Bella. So Emma Stone's character is an adult with the brain of an infant. So she has to relearn everything: how to walk, how to talk, how to eat, what's right from wrong, how to act in polite society. And as she gets older, she decides she needs to go see the world and go on an adventure of self-discovery. That's probably as far as I can take it without getting too spoilery. But even then, it's kind of disingenuous. There's so many moments where you're just saying, what is happening in this movie? So for that reason, I'm not really going to focus on the narrative. All I'll say, like I said, it's not boring by any means. So if you like that type of movie, I think this does it very well. And I mean, the movie's shot like it actually looks like a movie, which, you'd be surprised even in 2023. So it has that going for it. But what I really want to talk about is the performances, because that's really what is the selling point for this film. All right, so first up, we got Willem Dafoe. He plays the Bella's adopted father, Godwin. And he is just, I mean, Willem Dafoe. He's Willem Dafoe, right? Like he is the guy. He has a lot of movies I don't like, but he himself gives everything to every role he is in. And it's fascinating that he goes across all genres. I mean, he can do sci-fi or fantasy, drama or musical. And he will give, even if it's a terrible story and terrible paced film or a terribly written film, he himself gives a good performance every time. Every time. He never takes a day off, man. So, I mean, it's gonna say, I don't mean it to sound insulting when I say, like, if you've seen Willem Dafoe once, then you'll know what he's like in this movie. Because he just gives the same type of energy to this role. This doctor, I mean, you know, it sounds crazy bringing a dead person back to life and putting an infant's brain in her, but he's gone through a lot of trauma in his own life from childhood. And Willem Dafoe surprisingly brings that out in this guy. You actually, you feel for him, or maybe not even feel for him, but you understand his pain and understand why he is the way he is through Willem Dafoe. So, excellent performance as always. And then we go to Mark Ruffalo. Now, this dude's actually my man, too. Like, we all know him now as, like, the Hulk. I think that's what made him a household name, but he was an actor before he got that role, and he's been in a lot of good stuff since then. Something I always bring up, that movie Begin Again. Love it, when he was a record producer. And then, Dark Waters, when he was a corporate lawyer, also good. And then he had that HBO show, the name of it I forget now, but he played identical twins in the show. And I like that for him, because like Willem Dafoe can't be typecast, Mark Ruffalo, I think, more people need to understand he can't be typecast. He can play any kind of role, and he's not always, the goofy, lovable good guy. He can be a jerk, like he is in this movie, and like he was in Begin Again a little bit. He plays the lawyer who is infatuated with Bella, so decides to take her on her trip across the world. And he's clearly taking advantage of this person who he knows doesn't have the mental capacity to keep up with him. And it's actually kind of disgusting what he does. So he's I mean, he's also the comic relief. This movie is actually very funny. I didn't mention that. It's hysterical. But Mark Ruffalo is a huge part of that. But yeah, so I did like that he was able to show off this different side of him. He's not always gonna be the Hulk, that your superhero good guy protagonist. He can play a lot of different types, so this was good. But probably the thing that everyone's gonna talk about, and what I'm gonna talk about, is Emma Stone. So I know she already has an Academy Award. She can go ahead and dust off another place on her shelf, because she's getting another one for this. She better. So it's really easy with all the YouTube and TikTok and Instagram skits, and even YouTube stars or music stars that you see show up in like comedies or TV shows or something and deliver lines, and you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't terrible. So they're pretty good. It's pretty easy to forget that acting is a craft, and there are levels to this. Emma Stone is on another level. Like, she is the definition of a professional A-list actor. And man, oh man, does she show it here. So she has to be, remember, she's playing an adult with the mind of an infant, toddler, young adult, all that stuff, like going through these progressions. And she does it wonderfully. From the way she walks, to the way she talks, to the way she eats her food, her little mannerisms, when her eyes twitch or she smiles at something mundane. And speaking of talking, I just know she has a British accent the whole movie. I literally forgot that she's actually not British. She put a lot of work into this, I imagine, and it's remarkable. Like, she transformed into another person, and it's it's always a good sign when I forget I'm watching a movie and I feel like, it feels like I'm watching someone's real life. She did that here. So kudos to her. And yeah, the Academy, Golden Globes, all she needs to do is sweep this season. Yeah, so something else I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, there's a lot of sex in this movie. A whole lot of sex scenes. Like more than any movie in recent memory, or even distant memory. This might have been the buddy I was watching it with told me that this is the most sex scenes he's ever seen in a movie. Like if this is rated NC-17, I would understand why. It's a lot. It's a lot, y'all. Like the entire second act, it actually got to a point where I was like, this might be gratuitous here. But it doesn't really. I mean, so they could have cut it. I guess they could have cut down on the runtime a little bit, but it's not. Doesn't get to a point where it starts to ruin the movie. It's just like you're like, wow, this is a lot. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. Also, something else that's just a Sam thing I really want to mention. So, like I said, Bella's, like, before she was resurrected, she threw herself off of a bridge. And she had a family before this. We get to meet her family, and one person in particular, played by the actor Christopher Abbott, he shows up in the final act. You'll know who he is. And he is probably my favorite, even though he only has 10 minutes of screen time. He might be my favorite character in the film, not even because of his performance. The dude is laughably cruel. As in, he's laughing while he's being cruel, and it's just hilarious to me that someone like that exists. So just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, man, like Poor Things. I mean, it's if you saw the preview and you weren't enthused, I don't think watching it is going to really change your mind. You really have to be a certain type of moviegoer to like this. So for the first time, I might actually have to give two. Like, this movie's so strange, I have to give like 2 scores. General audiences, I don't think they're gonna like it. I honestly would say this would probably be a 2 out of 5 for them. For my normal small couch review score, it'd be a 2 out of 5. Like, I don't think people are gonna like this movie. But for those of you who like movies like Beau is Afraid, which recently came out, or The Favorite, this director's other movie, I think this is probably one of the best movies in that realm. So for y'all, this movie is a 4.5 out of 5. So, Poor Things, let me know what you thought about it. If you're one of the people who did watch it, let's talk about it right down there in the comments. And yeah, I definitely need to finally get my camera. As you can see, like I'm all over the place. Still haven't replaced my camera. It's been, y'all, it's been it's been a very busy couple of weeks, man. But yeah, need to get my equipment all set up. So thank you for sticking with me, and even though we're so close to each other. And yeah, man, Jovi and I later this week are going to watch the movie I don't want to see the most, Aquaman 2. So make sure you come back for that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and until next time, I'm out.